welcome back to the channel. My name's InsideAgameR and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on my tutorial series. And today we're looking at the A32nx by FlyByWire sim, which is a community funded project to create a free Airbus A320neo in Microsoft Flight Simulator that is as close to reality as possible. It aims to enhance the default A320 by improving the system's depth and functionality to bring it to a payware level all for free, which is really awesome. So if any of you had X-Plane 11, it's very much like the Zebo mod. There's also something going on now as well for the 787-10. Which we will have a look at another day. But I've had a lot of comments recently and people want me to show how to do the full startup with MCDU features, FMC from Simbrief with the A32nx. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's get into the cockpit. And here we are. So as always, what we need to do very first is look to our overhead panels. And what we need first of all is battery power. So we're going to turn on the battery powers. At that point you'd ask your ground crew to bring in your external power, which is always available, and we can turn that on. And we can now hear the aircraft turning on. If we just go back to the main port here, as you can see now, self-test is 40 seconds. A lot more realistic. On the default model this would just turn straight on. As you can see now, all the systems are starting to come online, but this will not become available. Not yet anyways. Okay, so then what we need to do is align the ideas, because it's going to take a little while. It takes about 6 to 7 minutes. So we've got 1, we're going to switch that to nav, IR2, switch that to nav, and IR3. This will align the GPS position of the aircraft so it knows exactly where it is. Okay, at that point as well, our emergency lighting will now be set to arm. We will put on our smoking and our seatbelt signs. These were non-functional in the default model as well. Okay, we would also put our air conditioning up to just medium. There you go, for the cabin crews and stuff. We'll turn off the crew supply here at this point, and we'd throw on our beacon light. Everything else we can leave alone for the minute, unless obviously you want some brightness. But other than that, for now, we can literally come away from here. One other function that is working up here is the fire suppressions. If you wish to test them, we would now get a little beeping noise, which is nice. There you go. So up here, we're done for the minute. Let's go down below again, and we can see now the first computer's turned on, which is good, the Avionics. So we can now bring up our brightnesses. Some people always ask me, how do I get it so bright? Look, just these little knobs here on the side. We're just going to switch them all the way up. And we got 2 down here for the center console, which is perfect. And again, so if you want any of your floodlights stuff, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so that's just so you guys can see a bit more clearly. I don't think you really need to. Okay, so at this point, we can now see that our IRS will align in 7 minutes. So we got a little bit of time here, guys, 7 minutes. But in 7 minutes, we can actually now program our FMC. So if we come down to the FMC, so you guys can see, I will put up my Simbrief here. Now I will be using Simbrief for my flight planning. I use that and Navigraphs. Currently, the air cycles aren't up to date, so we can't really change this. There is in beta mode at the moment. I assume that the AirAC cycles will change and we will be able to update them very soon. So look, some of the waypoints that we may use today may not work. No big deal, but they just might be out of date. So we'll find out in a second. The flight that we will be taking today is from EIDW, which is Dublin International. And we will be flying to Gatwick at EGKK. So EIDW to EGKK, which I will have up on the screen now for you guys. Okay, so the MCDU is a little bit different to the FMC with the Boeing. But they're both very straightforward once you kind of get used to it. A bit of practice. Once you've done a couple of flights, you'll be absolutely flying. Okay, what we need to do first is init. Now, I will like to point out that a lot of features still are not working currently, but I will show you the ones that are and the ones that are important. Now, first of all is this. We need to get our from and to. So we are EIDW. Now, you'd have to put in a slash here because we've got the slash here. And we're going to EGKK, and that should now input. Now this page comes up. People want to know what this is. If we had company routes, now a lot of companies in the real world would actually have set routes and they would just plug it in, but we don't have any, so we can just return to that page, and there we go. The first page is kind of set up. Okay, our alternative route for today would be LFPG, so we can throw that in here now. LFPG, which we got off Simbrief. And we would throw that into our alternative route. But apparently the airport is not in the database. How strange is that? LFPG. Oh, hang on. Missed the L. LFPG. And we'll throw down to that. Okay, next thing we can look at here is the cost index. Now, cost index basically means the kind of lower the number, the faster that the aircraft will go, use more fuel, etc, etc. We'll get that off Simbrief, which today is 36. I will be doing a tutorial on Simbrief on its own completely very shortly this week, so that will come out, so keep an eye out for that if you guys want to know how to read Simbrief a little bit better. So there we go. Cruising altitude according to our Simbrief today is flight level 33,000. So we can change this now. If we put in 330, now it'll change the temperature automatically for us. So there we go. That is the init page done. So we can go across to the init B. You're going to see some fuel stuff here, but we can look at this now. We could do it later. Okay, so today's flight according to Simbrief, our block fuel would be 6.4. So we just put 6.4. And our zero fuel weight would be 62.1. There we go. And then it will automatically our tow 68.3, which is perfect to our Simbrief, which is lovely. Okay, so that is kind of done here now for a minute, guys. So what we need to now do next is look at the flight plan itself. Now, this is the bit where people get confused the most. And what we need to do now is from EIDW, we're going to hit our departure. Now we will be leaving runway 28, and we'll be taking the Dexy 1A, which has appeared here. That is our SID. You can see it's now appeared here, and we can now insert that into our FMC. So there we go. We just press up, we can now see that the next waypoint available is a decel, which according to Dixon, which according to our Simbrief is correct. Okay, so Dixon is correct. Okay, so then what we would do next is that we would click on Dixon, and then we would hit airways, because we are about to jump on an airway here. We're about to jump on the UY124. So UY124, and that has appeared there, which is lovely. Then that means we're going to taking a waypoint to Ampit. We're going to throw that here. So airways are always on the left, waypoints are always on the right. Okay, so then what says that we will take another airway L15, and then we'll be coming off at keypad, keypad. Okay, that's loaded in. Then we'll take another airway, so we don't actually have to come off this page because we're still traveling on airways and stuff. 151. That would bring us then to Kidley, Kidli, Kidley. And then that would be it, because our next one would then be our star into Gatwick. Okay, so I am happy with that. As we can see it all in there nicely. Lovely. Okay, so then we would take EGKK, which is our arrival. And we should be coming in on 26 left ILS, which we have here. And we should be coming in... Apparently says there's no star available. Okay, so what we're going to do is, it says there is no stars available, so we're going to come in via the Willow transition. Oh, hang on. Okay, well, we're going to insert that into our flight plan. Okay, so that is our flight plan complete. Like I said, I don't know why it wouldn't let me take the Willow. We'll try one more time. If we do the arrival. Yeah, I don't know why it won't let us have the Willow 3B. Yeah, I'm not too sure. But look, we know it's Willow 3B, and I know Willow is a part of that, so we'll just keep that inserted. That is fine. So what we need to do now is actually we need to check this flight plan. And that is very easily done. You can now see our ideas has aligned. We can start seeing this little map here. And I've just changed it from arc to plan, so that we can now see our flight plan. We can go out by 20, or we can stay in by 10. That's absolutely fine right now. And then we can start going through our flight plan and just have a look to make sure it looks right. Keypad, Willow, there's our Willow transition, going around into Gatwick 26 left. Now that looks pretty correct to me. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so that's all worked out nicely. Back then down to this, we can go to our radio navigations. These are not required, but you can see our ILS frequencies are working. If any of you are using any charts, I can check this for Gatwick 1110.90, which is correct, and the course is 258. So that is all correct. That is perfect. So flight plan's good. The radio navigation is good. We're now going to performance. Okay, so we're going to see a few things here. Okay, so first of all is the flaps. We're going to be flaps 1. Now normally you could put slash and then you could put say like up 0.3 or whatever, and that would change your auto trim of the aircraft. But we don't actually need that, and I don't think there's many Airbus pilots that actually use that on takeoff. Maybe if you're very heavy on weights, etc., you may use that. Transitional altitude is wrong here. We're in the UK and it is 5,000. So we can change that, which is perfect. Flex the temperature. So the lower the temperature, the harder the flex. That's how this kind of works. So today's actually is flexing at 68, which is pretty high. It's nice. Oh, put it in the wrong box. There we go. So we would be flexing to 68. Why are you not letting me do it? Oh, because it has 68, 68. There we go, 68. So we have a toga takeoff and we have a man flex takeoff. If we go down and have a look at the sticks here, you can see man flex and toga. That's what your climb. So look, 1, 2, 3. You got 3 notches here. So you want the second notch would be for your flex takeoff. If you want full power takeoff, now Airbuses generally don't use this because they want to save the engines, and that's the whole idea of the manual flex. So usually I would go for a flex takeoff myself, but look, toga's fine as well. And then what you do once you start climbing, you would reduce this back then to climbing once your flaps have been reversed and stuff. And you can leave that there, or you can move it back so the auto throttles are just sitting in auto throttle. It's fine either way from this point. Okay, and we can now look at the next phase here. The climb, that's all fine. Cruising, destination, and approach, which obviously we will do the approach a little bit later on. We will do that as we're coming down. So basically that has given us all our things for today. So they reckon that V1 at 119, VR, which is our rotational speed, is 125, and V2 is 128. So there you go. That is the MACD completely set up for us, guys. At this point then, flight plan is looking good. We can change this now back to our arc. Okay, lovely. And you'd call the ground, make sure everything is getting cleared now. We'd be getting ready to take off. They'd also, ATC would say they'd give you a transitional altitude. They might say 9,000 feet. I'll put 9,000 there. We've got my 3 dots, which means our headings, latitude, speeds, all done by the FMC. Once I hit the autopilot, it should all click in quite nicely. Okay, don't forget you want your flight directors on at this point as well. And we're going to head up above. Okay, so what we need to now start thinking about is getting fuel and stuff into the aircraft. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to flick on our fuel pumps at this point, and we now need to turn on the APU. Okay, so with the APU now going on, which is a new feature, we can now watch this screen. So we do need to now wait for flaps to be open. That's what we're going to wait for here on this screen. Okay, now that the flap is open, we are going to start our APU. And we'll now start hearing that at the back of the aircraft. If we went outside now, we'd start hearing it at the back here. That's your APU exhaust. And again, it's one of these things, we need to wait till it says APU ready down here. That's what we're now going to be waiting for. Then we know our APU's on. At this same point now, we'd be asking, getting ready for our pushbacks, making sure we're ready for everything that we want it to do. As you can see now, the flap is open. Our end's going to go up. We need the DGT to come back down and stabilize. Another thing that the A32 has brought compared to the default, some of these buttons are now working, which is nice. So we can change this to our engine page, the bleed pages. We actually have door pages now, so we can look at the doors and stuff, what's open, what's not open, and the APU, of course. So look, we're just waiting for this to stay APU ready. Now the APU will start burning fuel. That's why we can come off the ground power for the generators, so there's electricity in the plane. So you can't sit like this for too long with the APU, because it is going to start draining your fuel unless you have a lot of extra fuel on board, of course. Okay, APU has just become available. The APU is now working and on. Okay, lovely. We can now turn off external power. You can see nothing's going to come off the aircraft here. We are ready to go. We will call our cabin crew saying that we're getting ready now to start pushing back. Everything is looking pretty okay here, guys. You can see now the APU has changed to available, and that's exactly what we want. Okay, so we will ask for our pushbacks now.
Dublin ground RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo 201 requesting pushback. RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo 201 pushback request accepted.
So when you're in your cockpit, you'll actually feel the little tug here on the aircraft. There we go. And park and brake now can be taken off. Okay, so we're going to go to the panel up above. We will now throw on our APU bleed. And down here we need to change engines to ignition and light engine 1.
Dublin ground RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo 201 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the left.
Okay, as we can see, we're now getting engine 1 starting to stabilize and turn on.
RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo 201, your request has been transmitted to the operator. Dublin ground RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo
We'll now flick on engine 2.
Requesting the end of pushback. RYR 711H Romeo Yankee Romeo 201 request to end pushback received.
Okay, engine 2 is now just spoiling up. I love that noise. Okay, while that is all happening, we will now actually set our flaps to 1. Okay, they're already in the position. Speed brake level we'll put up now. That's in case we need emergency. And we will throw on our max brakes up there as well. At this point as well, we'd now start thinking putting on our strobes. We need our runway lights on and we need our taxi lights on. We can put our navigations and wing lights on at this point. You do not put on your landing lights just yet. Everything else is good to go. All we're going to do now is just make sure both engines are stabilized, which they are now stabilized, and we're going to start making our taxi to runway 28. And obviously you would have had your ATC clearances. I haven't done the ATC on this tutorial because they talk too much and they talk over me too much. It gets too much, so yeah. that's why we've not used them. Seems to be some baggage cars out on the runway as well, which is interesting. Okay, always take your taxi quite slowly. No need to rush any of that stuff. What an awful camera angle to be at for this. Wanted to show you a nice picture of the outside. Okay, then there's now a bus just coming down where the planes come and taxi. Hopefully on the next update, which apparently is in about 2 days' time, Microsoft will fix those issues. Very awkward when you're trying to make a tutorial. Absolutely bonkers. Okay, what we would then do is stop just down here at the markers, and we'll contact the tower again, and we'll get our last few bits and pieces ready for our takeoff. Okay, at this point then what we would now do is change our landing lights to on, change our nose cone to takeoff. We would turn off our runway lights. Everything is good there. We would one last little check at this. This is fine. We'll follow the flight director out. I usually fly to maybe 5,000 feet on my own hand flying. Some people will turn on the autopilot pretty quickly. It is up to you. Obviously now we would get clearance from the tower. Okay, so we're good to go. So we will do a man flex takeoff. The Airbus, I need to put the nose down a little bit as we go to take off. It will try and rise quite quickly. We don't want that. Obviously, this is a perfect runway for a rolling start. 40%. While we line ourselves nicely here. A bit more in the middle so I can see where I am. Okay, now we're looking for man flex on our screen. You can just see down below here. You see manual flex now to 68, so the engines are working to 68. Nose down, like I said. Airbus is a little bit finicky like that. We already have our V1, which is not fast enough in my eyes. 140 knots and rotate. Slowly lift the nose up to the flight director. You can see it's just nearly at the 10 degrees. There's a bit of a flat spot there. Okay, straight away, gear up. Flaps up. Ignore him. And what you can do then is just throw on your autopilot. And your autopilot is going to follow your flight plan out. It's going to follow your speeds that are in your computer. That's fine. And what we're going to do now is just bring ourselves up to thrust level. To our thrust climb. And the computers will now do the rest. As we leave Dublin Airport here, get a nice little screenshot for the Discord. So there we go, guys. So now this is going to do everything it needs to do throughout its flight plan. It'll follow the flight plan. You can see it's going to go off course a little bit here because it is a very tight turning. It's not an easy turning for the aircraft there. So don't worry about that. It will turn itself. It will sort itself out as it gets around. So there you go, guys. That's a tutorial on the A32nx. Hopefully it has helped some of you out. Let me know in the comments down below if it has. If any of you want to come join the Discord, if you need any extra help, there are plenty of flight simmers in there that will be willing to help you guys. You know, so you are more than welcome. The link is in that description down below. And if there are any other tutorials that you guys would like to see, you know, leave a comment down below as well. Let me know and I'll try and get them done for you guys. And other than that, for myself, thanks for watching and I will see you next time. Bye for now.